it's Mel from Sparkly Belly. Last 2 weeks, we made this mermaid shell bra top and this curly seaweed armband. And today, we'll complete the costume with this fishtail mermaid skirt with a little train. It's pretty simple to make, yet looks pretty impressive when it's finished. Let's get started. To make this DIY fishtail mermaid skirt, you need pattern paper. This can be any lightweight paper like craft paper. You need about 50 centimeters by 1 meter or 20 inches by 39 inches. About 2 meters or 2 yards of stretch fabric and matching color thread. First, take these measurements. Your belt line. This is where you want the waistband of your skirt to sit. I'm making this skirt as a belly down skirt, which usually sits below your belly button. If you're making it for a different purpose, adjust as you like. Your hip line. This is the circumference of the fullest part of your hips. Your knees. Measure around both your knees together. And we need to get 3 vertical measurements. From your belt line, measure at your hip line, which is the fullest part of your hips, at your knees, and at the floor. It's best if you have someone to help take these vertical measurements on the back of your body, since the back side tends to have more curves, and so we should make the skirt according to the back side. We can always shorten a skirt, but lengthening a skirt is way more challenging. That's it! So using these numbers, let's make a simple pattern. To do that, we'll do some calculation, but don't worry. I put together a simple calculator that does all the calculation for you for this mermaid skirt. And you can get access to it on my blog at sparklybelly.com/mermaidcalculator. But let me quickly explain the calculation part in case you're curious. So take the belt line measurement and divide it by 1.15. We are using stretch fabric to make this skirt and it should be fitted, which means the actual skirt is going to be smaller than your measurements. That helps the skirt fit you well. And this division helps us shrink your measurements evenly. Then divide the number by 4 because we're making a quarter pattern and add a 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch for seam allowance. So that's your belt line number for your pattern. Similarly, for the hip line measurement, we divide it by 1.15, then divide it by 4 and add a 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch. That's your hip line number. For the knee measurement, let's use the number as is because the skirt doesn't have to be so fitted around there. And the extra room makes it easier for you to move your legs. So just divide it by 4 and add 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch. That's your knee number. Also, for your vertical measurements, find the difference between each point to find out the distance between them. So for example, take the knee measurement, subtract the hip line measurement, and that's the distance between your hip line and knees. Do this for all these parts. Again, you can skip the calculation by going to sparklybelly.com/mermaidcalculator. Alright, on your pattern paper, draw a vertical line on the left side. And draw a horizontal line at the top that's perpendicular to the first line. On the horizontal line, measure your belt line number that you calculated or found in the calculator from the vertical line and make a mark right on the line. From the horizontal line, measure 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch down and draw a line that's the same length as the belt line number. From this line, measure the distance between the belt line and hip line, and from there, draw a horizontal line. And this line should be the length of your hip line measurement that you calculated. From this line, measure the distance between your hip line and knees and go down extra 10 centimeters or 4 inches. And from there, draw a horizontal line that's the length of your knee measurement that you calculated. And go down 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch from there and draw another line of the same length. Now connect the ends of all these lines and at the hip part, make the line smooth and round so there are no sharp corners. And draw fold arrows along the vertical line so you know to place this pattern along the fold of your fabric. Cut along the outer line and that's your pattern. Let's start cutting fabric. First, fold your fabric right sides together so the direction of the stretch of the fabric is perpendicular to the fold. And place the pattern right against the fold. And cut along the pattern. Repeat so you have 2 panels. Next, fold your fabric right sides together again, but this time the direction of stretch doesn't matter. But if your fabric has pattern like mine, then make sure the top-down direction is along the fold of the fabric. From the top of the fold, draw a horizontal line that's perpendicular to the fold. From there, measure your knee measurement, divide by 6, all the way to the fold. So you have a quarter circle drawn here like this. Then from the quarter circle outline, measure the distance between your knees and floor minus 8 centimeters or 3¼ inches. You can find these numbers in the calculator as well. Now you have a larger quarter circle like this. Cut along these 2 lines and you have a half circle panel. Now you can make another one that's identical. That will make a nice mermaid skirt, but here I wanted to make a skirt with a little train that drags behind me. So fold the fabric the same way and draw a smaller quarter circle again. Then at the top edge, mark the same distance between your knees and floor minus 8 centimeters or 3¼ inches. Now take that number and add 15 centimeters or 6 inches to it, and measure that along the fold from the small quarter circle. And now connect these 2 points with a nice curve. Make sure the distance between this line and the small quarter circle outline stays larger than this measurement at the top. Then cut this panel out. Alright, let's sew everything together. The sewing part is very simple. First, place the top panels right sides together and do a zigzag stitch along the sides with a 1 centimeter or 3/8 inch seam allowance. Then place the circular panels right sides together and align the straight edges. Do a zigzag stitch with a 1 centimeter or 3/8 inch seam allowance. Now have the top part right side out and the bottom part wrong side out. Take the bottom end of the top part and place it on the inside of the bottom part of the skirt. The right sides are facing each other. Match up the side seams and the rest. And do a zigzag stitch all the way around with a 1 centimeter or 3/8 inch seam allowance. One of the edges may be a little longer than the other, but it's okay. Just try to match up as best as you can and pull the layers gently to align and sew them together. Now let's finish the hem. You can simply fold 1 centimeter or 3/8 inch from the edge towards the wrong side and do a zigzag stitch all the way around. Pressing the seam at low heat helps settle the hem nicely. Now put on the skirt and see the length. We haven't finished the waistband part yet, so fold in the top to adjust the length. Since we based the pattern on the measurements on the back side of your body, it may be a little too long on the front side, and that's perfect. Simply adjust by folding in and place pins and clips at the front, back, and sides. Do a zigzag stitch with a 2½ centimeter or 1 inch seam allowance here, and if there is excess fabric, just trim it off. If you like, you can sew an elastic here, but an elastic waistband creates a muffin top effect very easily. So that's why I made this pattern based on my measurements and yours on your measurements, so the skirt will stay up without elastic. But if for some reason the skirt feels too loose, which can happen depending on the fabric, you can add elastic after you finish this part. I have a tutorial on that, so check that out for how to do it. Find the link in the description below. And now your mermaid skirt is complete. It's perfectly fitted and it flares beautifully as you twirl. The little train is romantic, and of course, if you want a more dramatic one, go ahead and make it longer. It's such a pretty skirt, perfect for a mermaid costume. I hope you enjoyed this mermaid costume series and this fishtail mermaid skirt tutorial. And if you did, please share this tutorial with your dance sisters and festival friends. And if you want to learn how to make more belly dance costuming items, sign up for my free email course, Belly Dance Costume Making 101. You'll find lots of beginner-friendly projects that will make your costuming more fun. Thanks for watching and keep sparkling!